Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Historical Commission meeting. It is Tuesday, July 16th, and it's 6:30. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Can I get a roll call, please?
Carrie A. Ash, clerk.
Joyce Rodriguez, present.
Rick Mancini, Commissioner.
Kristen Quintero Oliveira. Connie Soul.
Larry Dykes.
Heidi Rigo.
Ruben Emerald.
So we have full board tonight. Yay. Okay, so first order of business under general business, we have correspondence. So I sent you all an email regarding the replacement of the Weaver Street Bridge. And that was from the Beta Group. Does anybody have any concerns, comments?
Is the bridge of historical significance, or?
It's, no.
No, they were just, I don't know. That was my one question.
Just a curiosity about it is that this bridge is significantly shorter than the other one. It's just an interesting comment as to how it's losing about 20 feet.
You mean the one that they're putting
The
in?
Weaver Street Bridge, yeah.
I'm not sure why, but I think now, I've been over that bridge a lot of times because I used to live over there, and it's in some sedge. And I guess now that they're getting more traffic over there
Right.
for various reasons, and they're going to be building, apartments and stuff like that, so definitely needs.
I'm sure there's a lot of development going on there.
There will be, yeah. There's starting to be, but I know there's going to be more, so. Okay, so no one has any issues? I don't have to do it. Okay. All right. Do anything about that. My second correspondence was from John Brandt, and he's looking for a letter of support to send to the park board regarding using historically accurate trees and plantings in North Park, because I guess the park board was, I guess they were offered some trees and they wanted to put them in North Park, but he said that they were just random plantings and they really didn't fit what was historically accurate at the time, and so he told them that his feelings were that it should be historically accurate as far as not only that park but any of the Olmsted parks. So he was asking if we would be willing to offer a letter of support for that as well, and I know I myself definitely.
Well, I make a motion that we write a letter of support.
Second it.
Good, can you hear me? I'm sorry. The only thing I would like to acquire is a little more information on the type of trees, because historically, trees that were put in the past were being attacked by a lot of the bugs and insects that exist here now. So historically, repetitive tree planting might not fit all occasions, or might not fit all situations. So it would be nice if we had just a little more data, in my opinion. Okay, so
That's fair.
yeah.
So the study that was done on the park, yes,
Yeah.
which was about now, do you know,
90, is it the late 90s?
I'm not sure, but
Maybe
it
early
included
2000s.
trees, appropriate trees. And I wouldn't be surprised if all that was taken into consideration, but it's already, I would say, about 10 years old, that study. And I thought there was another study being proposed. I heard mumblings about it.
Well, there's, I guess they want to do another one, like an assessment of, yeah.
But her
right
study
now it
would
hasn't
have,
been.
would have the appropriate trees anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, I won't vote on a positive note until I got just a little more information, because it just is not clear enough. And again, I apologize.
It's okay.
No, thank you for coming.
I mean, I can always find that out from John. But I would imagine that the Martha Lyon study took the bug situation and the damage to the trees. But I mean, the things that they've done in that park have been so historically inaccurate, so he's just looking for them.
And Olmsted used native trees, which I think it's when you stop using weird species that you start introducing the bug situation.
Still like to see.
Yeah, no, I get it.
No, I can ask John for,
It doesn't mean it doesn't get done, because there are 6 other people voting.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern.
no, but even if we vote in the affirmative, I can still ask John what it is that they're looking to put and whether or not they took the Lyon study into consideration. But I'm actually, in the letter, I'd like to put,
Yeah.
refer to the Martha Lyon
Yes.
study, because
Mhm.
that would.
And I even have concerns about just planting any old thing in anywhere in the park. When there's a study that's been done, was paid for,
Right.
that we should be using as a guide on what should be planted, where it should be planted,
Well, I think that was,
instead of randomly.
right,
just-
and I think that's John's concern, is
Yeah.
because in the Olmsted parks, they've just kind of always
I
done
agree.
whatever they want to.
Mhm. And benches.
Okay, that's what. So I do have a motion and a second for the letter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So none opposed. Like I said, I will get more information from John. But the motion carries, so I will draft that letter up. To John. Okay, any other comments? Moving on, budget, expenditures, gifts and donations, we have none. Open bank account, we have not done that yet. We still need to get them to City Hall. Citizen input. Okay, no citizen input. This is gonna be a quick meeting. Public hearings and determinations, we have none right now. Number 7, notice of intent to demolish structure. So Pilgrim Mill, 847 Pleasant Street, still standing. Expired, the 6-month delay expired September 20th, 2017. So at least once a week I go by there, and I'm always happy to see nothing is happening with it. And so I did get a request to demolish on 345 Wood Street, and that was not on the register, and it was not a significant property in any way, so I did send a letter that it was not on the register. Okay, 45 Morgan Street, Nathaniel B. Borden School. Last night, the real estate committee met, and Richard and I attended that meeting. It was requested that I attend, and as well as Jim Soul and Alex Silva from the Preservation Society were also there. And it was requested that Mr. Santos, the owner of 45 Morgan Street, be there, and he was not. He did not show up. There were 2 of the 3 councilors showed up. I know it was Steve Kamara that made the resolution, that put forth the resolution, but he did not make it there in time for the meeting. He showed up when the meeting was done, so it was just Councilor Pelletier and Councilor Kilby. And what they decided to do, since Mr. Santos wasn't there, was to table it for another month. So we did explain, Richard explained that it was time sensitive, that the delay runs out in October. Kathy and Veris also was there, as was Joe Macy, and Judge Macy explained that the the way that it was written for the sale, the deed, and the agreement, the sale, agreement sale, was there were no restrictions whatsoever, and while he did present to the city that he wanted to renovate the building and he had all these plans for the building, there was nothing in it that stated that there was any conversion clause, any preservation restriction on that. And so, you know, there were a few people at the table that did express that it's important moving forward whenever they have a sale on a historical property for the city, that is taken into consideration and put into the sale, that there should be some type of restriction on that, so that we don't find ourselves in this position again. So I'm not really sure, I mean, they have said they're gonna table it and try and get him to be there again, at the next meeting. I don't know if that will do much good. He does not seem to want to discuss this. Again, the questions that we have where he said the letter that he sent could answer those questions, absolutely does not, and for me it raises more questions. I did express a couple of my concerns at the meeting last night, but again, they really didn't want to talk too much about it since he wasn't there. So, you know, we'll be doing it again, hopefully next month.
So he doesn't have to attend though.
He doesn't have to, but he did, Counselor Pelletier said that he had stopped by the restaurant earlier in the day, and Mr. Santos said that he was gonna be sending his attorney to the meeting, and the attorney did not show up. So, we're not really sure. So Counselor Pelletier said that he was gonna stop by there again today to find out what happened, and,
Judge Macy made a good comment that timeframes should be put on the properties so that X is done by a given time, so that they don't linger the way they have been. And he made that suggestion, which really makes a lot of good sense. I'm just wondering if this board should not write a letter to the councilor, Stephen Kamara, and ask him to put an ordinance in specifying that the area that Kristen just spoke about, and also what Judge Macy did, put that in an ordinance form, so that whenever these sales come about, anything that's of historic value, we'll have those particular sections right in the document.
I think
So
that's a
maybe
great
a
idea.
letter from here to get this moving. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, it's just a suggestion.
you mean to send a letter to the ordinance committee, or?
I would send it to Stephen Kamara, to Councilor Kamara, and let him put that in a form, his ordinance form, and then present that to the ordinance.
I think this is the opportune time to do it while, and you know, it would be nice to have some action at least be in motion, because we, you know, had a lot going on at the last meeting, and there was a lot of traction at that time, and of course as things happen, and you know, we knew it wasn't going to be this big firestorm, this continued firestorm, but you know, we want to stay on top of this. Now we have to wait till August, so this could at least be something that we could do to show that we're committed to it. You know, we're not forgetting about it.
Well, I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that motion to write a letter to Councilor Kamara.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. So I will draft up a letter. Send that out just for review, and then we can go from there.
Thank you.
So, other than that, there really is not any, anything else I can say. Any other thoughts, ideas? So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the real estate committee meets again next month so that we can do something about this. Okay, moving on, 8, request for exemptions, we have none. 9, nominations, revisions to the Fall River Register of Significant Structures, we have none. PowerPoint presentation for neighborhood groups. I did do one last presentation, and that was to the North End neighborhood group. And as of right now, I don't have any others scheduled because I know for the summer, a lot of the groups don't meet. So my plan is to contact a few, starting again, maybe the end of August, so that we can schedule something for like September, October. I mean, hopefully, I'd like to get to all of the groups within a year from the time that we started, hopefully even sooner than that, because if we can do like maybe 2 in a month, and if anybody else wants to go and present at one of these groups, just let me know. After the election.
Have we ever, or has the commission ever presented to schools?
No, but someone else, was it you, was it Joyce? Was it you?
That came up, and that was part of a long discussion about other functions that we could do, like the Heritage State Park.
Right, but somebody had mentioned specifically schools, maybe it might have been Carol Fiola's representative, Paula, because I know she was at one of the meetings. It was somebody that, it was at a meeting at Morton, and somebody had mentioned that that might be a good thing to do, is to get into some of the schools, especially with some of the older kids, to get them more interested in just historical preservation and to be aware that, you know, we have these things and it's part of their history. And
Absolutely.
because I mean, they're going to be the stewards of the city going forward, so.
I would, I mean, that's something that I would consider or want to look into. I work with a lot of schools, and not in Fall River, but I do think there's some value in that. It's good for us to kind of get put on a better public face, and you know, obviously kids go home and tell their parents, or kids, you know, know what, you know, their parents know what they're doing in school. So it's always interesting way to like kind of connect with the community.
Sure.
We probably couldn't use the exact same PowerPoint, but it would, you know,
we would have to gear it
you
more
know,
to
yeah,
that.
it could be fun.
I think anything like that would have to go through curriculum and the school department.
Well, it depends on if you're doing it, if you want to be part of the curriculum, that's one thing, but if it's more of like there are some after schools, but like for the older children, there are like some after school clubs that you could maybe do it for that. I mean, you would just have to talk to the school department, I think.
I know Durfee, I mean, I don't know if they still do, but I know at one time Durfee had a history club.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So something
thinking.
like that.
There is a
would be-
history of Fall River class at Durfee.
Oh, that's lovely.
Really?
There is a
Oh, I
history
didn't
of
even
Fall
know
River
that, but I know they
class.
had a history club as well.
There is actually a history class of Fall River. So, I mean, they're open to guest speakers,
Right.
but if you're looking at something broader than that, I think it needs to be run through the chain of command.
I'm sure it would, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's
just
just,
guest speaker, like,
an
you know, I
idea,
think.
But there is a history, I'll make sure you email that. But, I mean, not to divert the discussion, but I think it would be interesting for the city council to hear a presentation on preservation. I don't know how much time they spend looking into other functions in government center, because there's so many other functions that we have here. But it may be of note to check with the president of the council to see if an in-service presentation could be made to the city council.
that's a good idea. I mean, they're the ones who ultimately are going to be voting on when we want to have ordinances changed, when we, you know, issues like last night that came up, and I think a lot of the councilors really are not aware of why preservation is important, how it benefits the community even economically, why it's such a good thing. And I absolutely know that not all the councilors are aware of why these things happen, just from seeing decisions that have been made. So,
I would be in favor of that. I don't know if the council would, but I think they're open. I think they're open to learning more about all the functions that are in the city government.
So that's a possibility, like, I mean, I could always reach out to Council Ponte and see.
Especially since there's gonna be a merger here. That might be just the impetus to let them know what changes are happening and the broader picture of how many of these neighborhood situations like St. Anne's Church involve them, because it used to be that councilors were elected by their
Ward.
ward, and that's not true now because they're at large.
Right.
So it could be they're kind of front-loaded maybe on certain neighborhoods as opposed to others, and that works against a lot of our preservation issues.
Interesting.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, I can reach out to Councilor Ponte and see if and when we can do something like that. I mean, we can just do our regular presentation.
Yeah, 30
There's no-
minutes. Approximately
If that, I mean, we don't even, you know,
prior to the meeting, and, you know, I think they start at 7. Then they have a budget meeting that starts at 6, maybe. Not all councils go to that, but I mean, I'm sure we can work it out.
yeah, I mean, I talked to him. We'll see what they say.
Thank you.
I like that. Okay, anything else go that way? Okay, moving on. The Historical Commission, Historic District Commission merger. I have not heard anything yet. It's something that I'll be following up on, but I know that everything had gone to Judge Macy, all of the prior ordinances and things like that. So he was working on drafting all of that up, putting everything into legal form, and then he would be presenting that to the ordinance committee. But I know it's very time consuming. He says has to go through everything and, you know, make sure that everything is legal, everything is valid. So I know his thought on that was to get it done sooner rather than later. So hopefully. Any thoughts on that?
Seems like it's later at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, yeah, I know. But I mean, there's a lot that has to be gone through too, so, because you're combining two committees with completely different ordinances and rules and regulations, so just to make sure that everything is, and I know we had wanted to make some changes as well, to extend some things, make the demolition delay, so hopefully, that happens as well. Okay, new business, open discussion. Anything?
Something that just came to mind is the Preservation Society put in a request for the architectural funds for the historic, I guess,
The
yeah,
district, the guidelines?
exactly.
Yep.
And does anybody know where that is? I know the monies were approved, but have they been allocated yet?
No.
No, I don't think anyone.
No, the city council was supposed to vote on, I think the city council approved it.
Yeah, they did.
And I know last night they were voting on something else, but that was an additional.
I think it's all
Thing.
been done, it's
Yeah.
dispersing of the funds. I
So,
think that's
yeah.
what the delay is.
Because then it has to go through I don't know if it's the auditor or not. But yeah. So something.
When do you meet again?
Usually,
The city meeting?
we are meeting August 16th, August 12th, I believe, it's our annual meeting. But I mean,
So maybe you'll have an update for the next meeting.
So who who is the one that put that in? Was that you? So have you heard anything?
I'm not hearing.
But you did get a letter saying that it was approved. Sandy would have sent out a letter saying that they voted to fund it.
I know that Jim's inquired about the funds. I don't know what the deal is.
Did he call Sandy?
You'd have to talk to him.
But Sandy's the one that, okay, yeah, Sandy's the one that oversees all that, so I can, okay. Usually I know historically it's been over the summer that the funds get distributed, usually July-ish. So, and we're well into July, so, let me just put this. Okay, anything else?
Full of questions tonight, Ms.
I see
know.
that.
That's why.
Anybody else?
Oh, I motion to adjourn.
Okay, hey. Before we do that, our next scheduled meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 20th at 6:30 in this room. Now, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Got it. Motion to adjourn.
Second, motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Another meeting.
Okay.